Good morning, Robert Gurman. The San Diego Air Pollution Control District was informed a few weeks ago that Montgomery-Gibbs Executive Airport is at this time the busiest general aviation airport in the U.S. As such, the airport is now the largest single source of lead emissions in the U.S. To be clear, Montgomery-Gibbs Executive Airport has gone past the 1 ton of lead emissions per year mark, and the EPA Region Number 9 has been alerted and has been petitioned to monitor this airport for lead emissions. To be crystal clear, Montgomery-Gibbs Executive Airport poisons more children with lead than any other airport in the world. To be helpful in your processing of this information, the airport located in District 6 of San Diego is the worst airport for lead emissions on this planet. Gillespie Field is only 10 miles away and is in the top 15 for lead emissions in the United States. The purpose of this letter and announcement is just for your notifications so you can't say you didn't hear it. Thank you, and happy Earth Day.
Thank you very much. So I am the one who went to a meeting where our mayor spoke, and I believe that he uses numbers falsely to support his determination or solution for a housing crisis. People actually drive from Temecula or Tijuana because they have homes there where their families reside. If you allow developers to throw together substandard apartments in Encanto, Claremont, Point Loma as high-density housing starting at $1,900 a month with no parking, nor close to the transportation corridor of trolleys, that's not helping the homeless or low-income seniors. And does the mayor expect families to live there? In my street, in my neighborhood, within 3 blocks, there are 90 such units planned. They are more than 1 mile from the trolley, and they will have no parking. And part of that, at the end of Broadway, is a 1-lane street with no sidewalks. It is down a hill, and they want to put 77 units there at the top of Broadway. Thank you for your time. I really encourage you to consider this repeal of footnote 7 that is coming up in May. Our neighbors are very anxious that you will do the right thing. 1964 was a great year, by the way, when the Carnation was started. I don't remember it. I was only 11. But Earth Day was great, the very first one. I was at Morris High School. Thank you very much, Council, for your time. I appreciate you.
Thank you for that concluding remark.
Good morning. Thank you, Mayor Gloria, Mr. President LaCava, Mrs. Fuentes, Clerk, and City Council. I was wondering, I will read this for brevity and accuracy, but may I have 3 minutes since there's been time?
I'm sorry, it is a 2-minute max per the rules of council, but if you don't get through it, you can definitely submit your comments and we'll distribute it to the council.
Well, I've given out a copy to each of you, if you could read it here or in your office. Very important. June 7th, 2023, I woke up from a vision to both a solution and exit strategy to San Diego City County homelessness. And let me say, whether we embrace this solution and exit strategy now, it'll get worse and worse. And mark my words, this is where it's going to go. You see, right now we may have as many as 35 to 40,000 homeless in our city. Parking lots here, parking lots there, hotels here, motels there, sidewalks, streets, canyons, Caltrans, hillsides. You see, there's no accountability in all this mess. Though there are many homeless people on drugs acting crazy, we still have many people homeless who want to go back to work. We have tons of service jobs just waiting for workers at $20 an hour, but there's no accountability for counselors to really help multiple people at once with information and job applications. Now, this plan calls for the same federal, state, local, and donation dollars we're using now to combat homelessness. In fact, once this plan is implemented, we will even use less monies overall. Here's the plan and exit strategy solution to alleviate and eliminate homeless encampment and to employ accountability leading to an exit strategy. It'll be to bring everybody to the City of Hope. It'll be located on 425 acres in southeast Otay.
Thank you
If
for
you
that
re-
concluding remark.
Okay.
That is your time.
What that gentleman said, there's no accountability in all this mess. There's no accountability in all this mess. You know, so much of what we see and hear now, it's people being in chronic upset because there's these people over here that are saying, oh, Trump and Musk and what's his name, RFK Jr. are so horrible and so evil. Then the other people are saying, oh, the Democrats are so awful and evil, when really both sides are working for the same goal. How interesting is that? And that's what people are waking up to. You know, before 2020 through now, through 2025, I, like most other people, had no idea about the machinations of all these things that go on here, what happens here. And the good news is that more people have become aware, and they're realizing that it's the people that have the power. You know, people don't have to come here and beg you for things. I went through all of that, zigzagged through all of that, because I know most of you are pretty intellectual. I wouldn't say necessarily wise, but intellectual. There is an open access book written by a fellow in the UK. It's called COVID-19, Psychological Operations and the War for Technocracy. The hard copy is pretty expensive. You can get this online PDF if you do a Google search for it. It goes into great detail about the operations that were in play from 2020 through 2025. And now we've got the Trump, Musk, and RFK Jr. diabolical trifecta doing the next leg of this operation, going into technocracy, which actually might make some of your jobs irrelevant. The good news is you can learn. Henry, you're one of my favorites up here. Look this up, and you'll see what was going on. Thanks.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, council members. If you go to the first slide there. I just wanted to bring to your attention, I emailed you over the weekend. One of the things we would like to do is talk about the March 4th resolution and how it's going to be addressed by the planning department. So there was really two parts of this resolution. The first part was to eliminate the bonus ADU program on certain lots that had more than 10,000 square foot minimums. And then the second part was to more widely look at the application of the bonus ADU program citywide and make appropriate changes to that program. So the first one really is primarily focused on certain lots in Encanto, not certainly all of the projects you've been hearing about, but at least some of them. And there's a certain urgency to come back in 90 days and get that resolved. The second part of it, though, and if you go to the next slide, is really about looking at how the bonus ADU program is working citywide and where we can make certain changes to this program, not to kill it, but to bring it into scale that would be compatible with our existing neighborhoods. And a key part of that, and what was promised in the February 28th memo from the planning department, which was used to persuade you to adopt this resolution, is that it was going to go through a full revision process with the public and other bodies, and that included having public hearings, going to the Community Planners Committee, and then going to the Planning Commission, Land Use and Housing, and the full council. That isn't happening, and what we're asking for is that you urge the city to take out the second part of this resolution and go through full process, and then go ahead and pass the first part on May 1st.
Thank you
Thanks.
for that concluding remark. Dana Givett.
Thank you. You have the presentation? Okay, Jeff just covered the first two slides. If you could flip, yeah. So what I would like to talk about is looking at what that March 4th resolution, part one, would actually do retroactively. And if you look at this chart, we looked at all the bonus ADU projects with proposed deed restrictions from the start of the program through February 14th, based on data from the San Diego Housing Commission. And what we found was that over half of the bonus ADU projects are in RS 1-7 zones, which would not be impacted at all by part one of that resolution, and that 43% of total bonus ADUs are produced in RS 1-7 zones, with 1 to 37 ADUs on a lot, and actually now we have an application applied for with 125 bonus ADUs in Pacific Beach. If you could flip to the next slide, please. Over the last 4+ years, the March 4th resolution would have eliminated a total of 3 out of 282 bonus ADU projects. One had 3 ADUs, one had 36 ADUs, one had 2 ADUs. So those were the only in RS 1-2 and RS 1-4 zones. That was the grand total. And the last slide, please. Excluding RS zones with a minimum of 10,000 square foot lots only affects a small percentage of projects looking retroactively. Most large projects are in S1-7 zones, with many of those lots over 10,000 square feet, and they require more extensive consideration than alluded to. Please respect the Land Development Code update.
Thank you for that concluding remark.
And allow public input.
Allegedly, Audra?
Thank you.
All right, so I am wondering if there is a plot to kill the homeless in San Diego, because there is a major rat infestation at Tent City. And if you believe in things like viruses and the hantavirus and the urine, the feces, and everything that they're leaving behind, right now, I mean, you're setting yourselves up for a class action lawsuit from the homeless if you do not stop this abuse, the fraud, waste, and abuse that's taking place at Tent City with Downtown Partnership and Dreams for Change and the City of San Diego. You guys need to be auditing this to make sure, because they are in breach of their contract. And the FBI already has a number to call if there are complaints about fraud in the homelessness funds. And so calls are being made to the FBI about what's going on in the city. And Heather and Charles, it would behoove you to be making sure there is not fraud, waste, and abuse, setting the city up for a class action lawsuit. These people are being abused, and it's very sad to see how much money we spend, and there are people dying from overdoses because there is not 24-hour staff. So if somebody needs to get Narcan, they can't, it's like, what do? You just wait, and maybe if the employee isn't sleeping in their car, that maybe you'll be able to save a life. A man named Oscar died not that long ago. Do you guys know that? Are you honoring him, making sure that this doesn't happen anymore? When is it going to matter enough? I mean, it's just really sad to see that you guys want to act like this is such a great service that's being provided when it isn't. There is absolutely a very high need for an audit and to shut it down until you can make sure that what you are providing is safe sleeping.
The city mayor, city council members, city attorneys, city development services department, city planning department 2, San Diego Police Department, City Land Use and Environment Group, to whom it may concern. We, the residents of Chollas Parkway, Lea, Streamview, Salta, Boise, Mina, Limona, 51st Streets, West Bank of Chollas, Creek of ceramics manufacturing, and kiln industrial operation has been operating since December 17, 1984, and renewed December 31st, 2024 in our community designated as residential zone. Ceramics kiln industrial activity is known to produce toxicity, polluting the air we breathe and impacting health and safety of residents, especially children and seniors with existing medical condition. Number 69, Daniel Rico. Number 74, Lynn Tran, 5220 Streamview Drive.
Next is Cesar Javier.
Look at us, Councilor Rivera. You were a resident of City Heights before the election. You moved to Kensington community. There is one ceramics artist, member of the San Diego Pottery Guild. You were the governing body, member with the mayor. You could easily make some, hey, air pollution control district, this is impacting the health and safety of my community. Can we make some revision? That is a moral stand, sir. But worst is, you blocked my being a member of the governing board. Even the alternate positions, which Paula Purvis, the director, has emphasized and remind you that there are even 3 alternate vacant positions. Why? I believe I am qualified because I am a civil engineering acquainted guy, urban planner guy, handyman, teacher. What else do you want, Mr. Rivera? Why do you block my effort to help my air pollution control district to correct the exemptions here? Why do you have to exempt a poison gas emitting industry? And why not scrutinize laundry, treatment plants, Escondido, Carlsbad, when they are the ones polluting so much? They are not exempt. Why this ceramics kiln, Councilor Rivera and Councilor Lacaba? You were, sir, the chair of the Environment Working Committee. You talked to Councilor Rivera, you said. Now you have the reason, the power.
For that concluding comment.
Good morning, Chair LaCava and council members. My name is Becky Rapp, and as a public health educator, I'd like to bring to your attention the critical need for public awareness and education regarding marijuana consumption and its long-term health impacts. I'd like to share with you yet another concerning study published in JAMA Neurology. The study followed over 6 million people and found that those hospitalized due to marijuana had a 23% higher risk of developing dementia within 5 years, and a 72% higher risk compared to the general population. These findings are deeply concerning, and they point to a growing gap between public perception and medical reality. One of the biggest misconceptions is that marijuana is natural and therefore safe. But many of today's products are not natural. They're synthetically derived, highly potent, and full of chemical additives. This isn't the marijuana of the past. These chemically derived products are far more powerful and harmful, especially for older adults and those with pre-existing health conditions, leading to serious health consequences, including addiction, mental health struggles, and cognitive decline. When someone begins to experience serious cognitive decline or dementia, they're more likely to lose employment, social support, and housing stability. Without access to mental health care or early intervention, marijuana can become a stepping stone, not just to illness, but to homelessness. As a city, we must respond with clear, evidence-based education, starting with the most vulnerable of our residents, our seniors and our young people. Thank you.
Hello, I'm going to continue on a topic that I started to bring up yesterday in public comment, which is about marijuana addiction and its impact on brain development, cognitive function, sleep, and the often overlooked risks associated with medicinal use. First, I want to underscore the serious neurological effects of marijuana, especially on young people. THC, the main psychoactive compound in marijuana, can alter brain chemistry in areas responsible for learning, memory, behavior, and cognitive ability. Research shows that regular marijuana use is linked to lower IQ scores, impaired memory, and reduced academic and occupational performance, with the effects being even more severe in long-term users and those who start young. We also need to talk about sleep. While some may use marijuana to help them fall asleep, chronic use can actually backfire. People who stop using marijuana often report nightmares, insomnia, and poor sleep quality, symptoms that can be just as disruptive as the issues they were trying to treat in the first place. Even medicinal marijuana is not without risk. Like any medication, it can have side effects. Alarmingly, over 80% of medicinal marijuana users also use it recreationally, which can increase the risk of overuse and lead to cannabis use disorder. The takeaway here is that marijuana is not harmless, not for our youth, not for long-term users, and not even for those seeking legitimate medical relief. If someone is struggling with marijuana dependency, help is available. Primary care doctors and mental health professionals can diagnose cannabis use disorder and provide support for recovery. As our city navigates cannabis regulation and public health priorities, I urge the council to consider the full picture, including the long-term health costs of overlooking these serious health effects. Thank you.
Joyce Eniata, District 3. I'll be quoting from the UT article of April 16, 2025 on the Sunroad Enterprises project. Sunroad granted new lease terms. This is by the Port of San Diego. Among the approved concessions are new lease terms that will not only postpone the start of rent payments, but also lower them for the first 7 to 10 years of a 66-year lease. In addition, the commissioners agreed to evenly split the cost of an in lieu fee up to $11 million that is required to satisfy the California Coastal Commission, excuse me here, I'm using my magnifying glass, the California Coastal Commission's longstanding demand for affordable overnight accommodations on state tidelands. It was a unanimous vote, except Commissioner Michael Zuchet was absent. From me, I'm glad you weren't there. I don't know why, but Mr. Zuchet, I'm really glad you weren't there. And continuing to quote, Port Commissioner Frank, hope I say this right, Urtasun, blamed the developers' financial challenges on the Coastal Commission's policy requiring projects to address the need for low-cost overnight accommodation. The state agency has long argued that under the decades-old Coastal Act, ensuring access to the coast includes providing affordable lodging. I have been involved with this project at CCDC for at least a decade.
Your time has concluded.
Hello, good afternoon, City Council. I wanted, in honor of Earth Day, to ask for your environmental support on some legislation that's pending at the state level, making its way through committee. It's AB 762, which would ban single-use marijuana and tobacco vapes. As you can probably imagine, these create a huge environmental toll because they are single-use and they're mass-produced, generally overseas. They have toxic parts, and then they're shipped to us here in the United States where they're just tossed into a landfill. In fact, the feds consider it a toxic waste. These single-use vapes create huge environmental risk at each ends of their life cycle. Mining lithium requires large amounts of water, often leads to soil degradation and water shortages and contamination in surrounding communities. Once they're disposed, these batteries can leach toxic chemicals into the landfills and, as we know too well here in San Diego, spark fires in waste facilities. And we know that they contribute to the microplastic pollution we're so aware since we're surrounded by water here. I'd like to suggest that this would be a way to honor our environment here in the city of San Diego and Earth Day, and support AB 762 and limit and ban the single-use tobacco marijuana vapes that are such a prevalent part of our landscape and that are so enticing to our young people. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Today, thank you. Today, in honor of Earth Day, I'd like to recognize the new food pyramid, and also how at the bottom we've got the microplastics within our bodies, and our bodies go back to the earth, right? Next up is the seed oils that we've been fooled into thinking are good for us. They're not. Bugs, because according to the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab and their New World Order and their 15-minute cities, aka smart cities, they want us eating bugs. Next up, soy milk. Soy milk is junk. And at the top, antidepressants. Yes, I would hope one day that the marijuana mamas would acknowledge the fact that there are more people addicted to antidepressants, but it sucks because I know one of them, I believe, is married to a pharmacist, so that probably won't happen, and the fact that they continue to have studies that they read off of funded by Big Pharma, I mean, it's just kind of a no-brainer. But let's continue to attack things from Mother Earth and then claim that you are all about Earth Day and you honor Earth Day and you honor the earth, when in fact marijuana, weed, whatever you want to call it, it's a gift. It's a gift. It's a sacred plant, and the fact that it does in fact cure some people of cancer and other ailments and really works with depression. That's probably why it's vilified and being so attacked. But let's continue to ignore those facts.
Your time has concluded, and that concludes non-agenda public comment for today's meeting.